You know our next guest as the champ.
There are certain things that can be a waste of money for sellers, and there are certain things that can really guarantee you a bang for your buck. So I'm going to be giving some tips and talking about some of my recent successes with renovating to sell.
Please welcome back real estate expert Elizabeth Story.
There she is.
Hi.
Champ, what's up?
Nice to see you.
How you doing?
Good.
Always in front of cameras, you and I speak. We need to go have coffee one of these days, just with no cameras around.
We'll make it a cocktail and you got a date.
Sold. All right. I have I think this is a really timely question right now, because we see there are a lot of agents in the marketplace who are going geographic centric. They're really trying to hammer home, I'm the neighborhood expert. Mm-hmm. You're a client centric agent, where you go wherever the clients need you to go. And recently I've been seeing that you are beating out these local guys who sold the house next door, and sometimes even for more than list price and stuff like that. And somehow you're getting the listings. Mm-hmm. And it's not because of a reduction in commission. You don't reduce your commission. You know what you're worth. So how in the world are you doing that?
Well, you know, I like to say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So right now on the screen, there's going to be some before and after photos coming up. I specialize in fixing to sell. And when I say that, I mean it. I know what to fix and I know what not to fix, because the fact of the matter is that you do not get 100% return on your investment on certain types of repairs. Certain types of repairs could be a loss of money or even a complete waste of money. And then there's other repairs where you absolutely will get more than 100% return on your investment. And I've been doing it long enough with enough success that I have fine-tuned what is and is not worth your time. Another really big thing about fixing to sell is making sure that you have your team in place, because anyone who's ever done any kind of renovation knows that it can take a lot longer than you think and cost a lot more than you think. So if you've got a deadline that you're trying to hit, and if you're trying to get your house on the market by a certain time, you need reliable people who can get in and get out for the price they said they would do it, as quickly as they said they would do it. It's taken me years to get people who can do those things, but now I have a team in place where I can have a property from the time that I sign a listing agreement to the time it hits the market. You know, sometimes a complete renovation like the one that we just did in La Mesa in under 30 days. We had that done in 3 weeks, and we completely changed the home, and it looks fantastic.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's something that a lot of people could probably learn from, because I know most home sellers, I talk to them every day, just doing casting calls for Win This Listing, which you've been a cast member of multiple times now, and you'll continue to be. But when I talk to them, a lot of times they say, well, we have these things we want to fix first before we have you guys come and film the property. And I always try to say, don't touch a thing, because you don't know what you're doing. You might think it's worth it to put all this money in the floor, but the floor may not be where that you're going to get a return on your investment. In fact, you might put a floor in and the buyer doesn't even like your floor.
Right.
Doesn't want your floor.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that I think they're making repairs for themselves, but they're not the ones who are buying the house.
Right.
And so I think there's a big disconnect between, you know, the average homeowner who's preparing their home for sale and the buyers who are going to be coming in and looking at it.
Exactly.
So you must have to have a lot of conversations around that with people who have in their head, all right, these are the things we need to fix.
Right. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times, for example, I've seen a listing where it has new carpet. Carpet's like not that great, and not everyone's looking for carpet. And when you put in the cheapest carpet that the money can buy with zero pad and it feels like you're walking on concrete, well, it's kind of a waste of money. So again, like you said, flooring is, you got to make sure you're doing the right kind of flooring, the current kind of flooring. Trends tend to change throughout the years, and you can kind of tell sometimes when a house was last updated by what trend they were following. And neutral tones are very in right now, and people don't like a lot of really dark colors right now. That's what seems to be popular. So you want to make sure you're doing something that appeals to a broad variety of buyers in today's market. Another thing that I do is I work with a really expert stager. I mean, she's just so good at what she does, and people tend to forget that staging can really make your home seem like it's worth more money. And so you might think that your old puffy couch looks great in the corner and it's really comfortable, but like, for example, my stager points out, puffy furniture doesn't photograph well. It just looks sloppy. So we're gonna take that couch in, put something smaller, makes the room look bigger. So it's really a fine art that gets honed and fine-tuned over time. And it's important that if you're fixing to sell or selling for top dollar, that you work with an agent who not only says they know what they're doing, but can show you before and after photos and has a track record of success to actually prove that they know what they're doing and that all the advice that they're giving you is the right advice.
Sort of like the photos you've been watching throughout this segment of the before and afters of what Elizabeth has been able to accomplish with these homes. Now, what about budget-wise and things like that for people out there who might be looking to sell, but they say, I have a micro budget, or maybe I have almost no budget for stuff. Is it necessary to always do these repairs, or is it just something where you can kind of make a micro investment into your macro investment of the house?
Yeah, so that's going to be a really subjective question, and I know I give you that answer a lot, but real estate's really personal, and what works for one seller isn't going to work for another seller. I have 3 listings hitting the market today. They're all completely different. One of them I said just clean and declutter. We're not going to do anything else because their specific situation, they just did not have the budget. And I knew that, again, flooring would be subjective, so I didn't want them to spend thousands of dollars changing that particular floor, knowing that the buyer might not like it or might want to change it anyway. So that seller, we are just cleaning and did mild staging, and it's ready for photos. Another client, our budget was about 10 grand. We put it all on the credit cards because we were doing it fast enough that they could get their rewards and get their points. And the plan is to have that home closed in under 30 days. So they only have to carry that balance on their credit cards for under 60 days, get very, very little interest. And I guarantee them that they will get more than a $10,000 return on their investment. So there's something that works right for every client, but it is going to be a recipe that fits for each particular person.
But not necessarily do you have to have tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Because I think sometimes people hear the word remodel or rehab,
Yeah.
and they think like 60 grand, 80 grand, blowing out, kitchens and things like that.
no.
But what you're talking about is making wise investments.
Right.
Not doing that. In fact, doing the opposite of that. So a lot of people will do that. They'll spend $40,000 on the kitchen and the floors, and before you know it, and it's like this money just went into this hole, and is it ever going to come out?
Right.
Might not.
Right. And that depends on the price you got the house for, too.
True.
What did you get the house for? How long have you owned it? What kind of equity do you have in it? And again, it always goes back to return on investment. If you're putting 20 grand in, is it going to be 20 grand back out? And so, it's different. It's not going to be the same for a $250,000 condo downtown as it would for a $2.5 million house in Rancho Santa Fe. Right? They're just not the same. So each one, again, is going to be specific. But just painting alone can make such a huge difference. And I can get that inside of a house, most houses painted for under 3 grand, and I have a painting team that can come in and out in a day. So if 3 grand's like the max that you can even work with, then we can change your house overnight. It's that easy.
Not to mention the way it looks, but also the way that it smells, and therefore the way that it feels. It
Right.
smells and feels new when you hear that, when you have that paint smell.
Right.
One thing I would highly encourage everyone to do before you go and spend money on investing into your property that you're planning on selling, call Elizabeth, ask her, pick her brain, have her come look at the home. She'll tell you what you should and should not spend money on. You're probably throwing money away, I'm telling you right now. If you're making this assessment on your own without the knowledge of the market and the area and what buyers are looking for, you are definitely throwing money away somewhere. It's just a matter of where you're throwing it away. So you might get lucky and get 1 or 2 things right, but you're probably throwing money away. And there's no real need to do that.
Right.
Especially if you have money to invest, you can invest it very wisely, get your home ready for sale, not only for a higher price, but probably at a shorter time frame too.
Shorter time frame. That was one thing I was going to mention. Every month that goes by, you're making mortgage, maybe you're making HOA, you're making taxes. If it's vacant, for example, that's just money going in a hole. If you're living in it, well, you can kind of negotiate that, it's still the cost of living, but time. You need, again, it goes back to a team that can come in and out quickly. And if you're fiddling around with it for 6 months, how long do you really want this to take? So call an expert that has a team that can get it done fast.
Yeah, and it's really crucial to have all those team members on hand, as I know one of the listings you got recently from a local area expert was simply because you had a bigger Rolodex, yes. Which apparently is a big deal. For people who are willing and ready to make some improvements to the home.
Right.
They want to know that you've got all the people in place, which you obviously do.
Right. Right then, right there.
Boom. Great stuff. Elizabeth Story, thank you so much for your time. Great to see you
Appreciate
again. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.